For the second year in a row and the third time in the last 4 years, Clemson's football season starts with a loss. This time, just like 2021, it's a loss to the Georgia Bulldogs. In 2021, that came in Charlotte, which was an ugly slugfest of a 10-3 Georgia win, where Clemson only got 180 yards. This one really wasn't too different. Clemson only ended up with 188 yards, and it was 6-0 at halftime. So certainly Clemson was able to stick around for a while, but as they tired, what differed from that 2021 game was Carson Beck is an exceptional quarterback. Really, really impressed me. And once Clemson's defense tired, he just surgically picked the Tigers apart, made a lot of really impressive tight window NFL throws. And that really allowed Georgia to start just completely pulling away, scoring 34 in the game and totaling 447 yards to Clemson's 188. That was the difference. That's why they pulled away. They have more depth and a better quarterback, and their receivers were a big difference. A lot of people will talk about Clemson's quarterback play with Cade Klubnik, and he wasn't particularly dynamic. He didn't make a ton of great plays. I thought he made several good throws. I thought he avoided making really almost any dumb decisions. Even the interception was really more of an unbelievable play by Malachi Starks, and Tyler Brown falling down was really more a product of those two things than anything Klubnik did wrong. I mean, it was a little underthrown, but Clemson's trailing and kind of in desperation. I don't really mind them taking a risky deep ball there in one-on-one coverage, but Starks is the better player, and he won, right? And that's what it was really all about to me is, they are more talented. And it showed a wide receiver, Adam Randall, Cole Turner, and Troy Stellato combined for one catch for 1 yard. And that's just, Clemson can't win with that. And it was just, they looked bad. It was just a really poor performance from a trio that I think Clemson needs a lot from if the freshmen aren't ready. Tyler Brown had 3 catches, 25 yards. He was all right. Antonio Williams was outstanding, made some great plays. He had 76 yards, 6 touchdowns. He was really Clemson's only big play threat in the whole game. It was absolutely huge that Clemson didn't have him last year. I think they beat Florida State if he's healthy. I think a lot of last year looks different if he's healthy. So great to see him back. He was probably the biggest bright spot I had. Coach Sweeney was not super thrilled with the wide receiver play. He noted that the wide receivers had 2 penalties right out of the gate, said they were up and down, but he did note, like the way I felt, said, really proud of Antonio, though. I thought he really competed and made a lot of plays. I was excited to see that. So that was the story with the thing that I thought was a little weird is we didn't see enough of, or hardly any of, Wesco or TJ Moore. Wesco maybe played a tiny bit early, but it was pretty much garbage time for the two of them before they saw the field. Each had 1 catch. And what bothers me about that is you lose Bo Collins to Notre Dame, you lose Brandon Spector, who wasn't a big contributor, but you lose 2 veterans, and wide receiver was a major problem last season. You replace them with 2 freshmen, that's certainly fine. We're gonna if Clemson is landing big time freshmen, I've got no complaints about that. But if that's a weakness and you lose a major contributor, your number 2 leading receiver in Bo Collins, who, I and a lot of Clemson fans have their gripes with, but he was the second best receiver. You lose him, you lose Spector, you replace him with a freshman. I'm expecting those freshmen are going to make an impact right away. Otherwise, the receiving core is going to be even worse than it was. And I guess they weren't ready to make an impact, but if that's the case, that's where you've got to use the portal. And here's what Coach Kirby Smart said about the portal. I thought this was fascinating. Someone asked him directly. They said, Coach Sweeney does not use the portal. You've made some moves in the portal. Can you tell us how that has impacted your roster? And I thought he was classy and basically said, I am not going to criticize Dabo, but here's how it's worked out for us. He said, we took a wide out that they've played against. They can run, and they needed wideouts because we lost some guys at wideout. We take Colby, who is a high quality kid. That's another wide receiver. We talk to these kids. We visit with these kids. He continued by saying, if we're going to lose kids to the portal, we got to replace them with high quality kids that are character kids looking to have an opportunity to win a championship, and they're looking for somewhere to play. Otherwise, you can't survive in the SEC without depth. without the depth you need. So it's a forced situation. You have to use it. So we use it selectively because we actually like signing high school kids. Basically saying he prefers the Dabo model, but it's not feasible in the SEC. So if Clemson wants to compete with the top of the SEC, with the top of the Big Ten, and when playoff times, these non-conference games, you saw the depth difference, and that's the portal. You just can't realistically expect Clemson to out-recruit high school against Georgia and Ohio State and Alabama. They're already not out recruiting them in high school. Then you have to say, okay, well, we're not going to recruit as well in high school or use the portal, but we're going to just so thoroughly better develop and have a better culture. We're going to win. That's a big ask. And I think you could say we focus on those and those are a specialty, but it's pretty unrealistic to try to go up against Georgia with inferior high school recruiting classes and not filling spots with portal talent. So that was sort of a reality check there in that regard. But there is good news. All is not lost. Before I dive into that, don't forget to like this video and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. So it's been a pretty rough go for the ACC early on. Miami looked outstanding against Florida. They are certainly now the odds-on favorite to win the conference, I would say. But they don't play Clemson in the regular season. So if you're looking at the rest of Clemson's regular season, Florida State got completely bullied at the line of scrimmage by Georgia Tech, lost to Georgia Tech in Dublin in week 0. They'll play Monday, Boston College. We'll see how they look, but certainly they look a lot less scary than you thought a week or two ago. On Thursday of week 1, NC State really struggled into the fourth quarter in a game that was up in the air with Western Carolina, a 7-5 SoCon team from the year before. Not a great opponent. They looked bad. Grayson McCall was inaccurate. Their offensive line still can't run block. They're very vulnerable. So I don't know that they're necessarily better than Clemson. And then Virginia Tech went out. I was really high. Big mea culpa for me. I thought, they brought back their entire offensive line. They brought back Kyron Jones, their quarterback. They lost to Vanderbilt in Nashville in overtime. Really bad loss. Not an ACC loss, but that trip to Blacksburg looks a lot less scary than it did when I predicted that to be Clemson's second loss. So Clemson may have lost and lost bad to Georgia. But, Georgia embarrassed Oregon in a season opener not too long ago, and Oregon went on to have a great year. The ACC looks really bad. Then you look at South Carolina. They nearly lost to Old Dominion Saturday evening. Clemson's schedule is looking pretty light, and to reach 10 wins seems still very viable. And it wasn't even all bad in the game. The defense was outstanding in the first half. Avion Terrell, they basically just avoided. Jaden Lucas, not elite, but I thought he made some really great tackles and played solid in a lot of respects. The interior defensive line for Clemson, Georgia was it without Trevor Etienne. They were without Roderick Robinson. So handicap that as well. But they pretty much stopped the run game for the entire first half and stopped the interior run game the entire game. They had to go around the edges. So I still really like Peter Woods more in the middle. And I had wanted them to bring in a defensive end transfer because I was worried about Capehart Page. But Capehart Page were awesome. That was a big win for Clemson, a big positive encouragement. Clemson's offensive line, I thought, was really good, much better than I expected, or maybe not much better than I expected. Actually had high hopes, but better than expected, certainly. I think Matt Luke maybe made an impact right away. Marcus Tate got hurt. In post-game presser, they said he's fine, so that's a big relief. So those are certainly some big positives. I thought Jay Haynes, I only noticed him for maybe 2 plays, but one of those was him making a critical block and pass protection that sprung the big play, the 36-yard gain to Antonio Williams. Huge play. Maffa Haynes, I think that's a great 1-2 punch as you head into ACC play at running back. And then Jake Brenningstool made an amazing catch. I think he's good. So you look at Maffa, you look at Brenningstool, and you look at Antonio Williams. You got 3 skill position guys. Do you feel good about? I don't know where we are with Cade. Let's see him against a not best defense in the country. But for this team to really take a step, for this team to maybe beat Miami in an ACC championship, they're going to need Wesco and more to come along. And maybe without using the portal, that we're going to get these slow starts where we need these freshmen to come along, and it takes a little while. So maybe by NC State or at least by Florida State, but they've got to overtake. Someone's got to overtake some of these wide receivers that combined for 1 yard, right? So that's what I'm looking for in these next 2 weeks. Does Wesco or more take a step, become the starter? start making a big impact. That would really allow Clemson to take a big step as a team, and that's what we need. So let me know what you think. Is all hope lost? Is there still a lot to play for? What do you think? I think they could still at least make the ACC championship game at minimum, have a chance at the playoff. I'm discouraged for sure, but I think all hope is not lost. So as always, join me in the comments. Always appreciate hearing what you guys have to say, and go Tigers. If you enjoyed this video, please help this channel by liking the video, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Also, if you're a pet owner and you live in the upstate, check out our sponsor, Ready Vets. They offer immediate walk-in care when your pet can't wait. They're open 7 days a week till 10 p.m. They're owned by 2 Clemson grads. They're located in Taylor's, just 10 miles from the Woodruff Road shopping district.